Hey, and welcome back to another episode of Coins with R&B. Today's topic will be about when coming out of school, what is the best type of salon to go into and the different types of salons that there are. So, first, there is the open concept when you're actually an employee. The next would be probably commission based. This is where you would work off commission only. And then the next would be a hybrid, where maybe you are an employee, but you also can make commission off of certain, styles and cuts. And then there's booth rental. That's where you're pretty much like your own business. Then there would be renting a suite, which is just basically booth renting, but now whole suite is yours. And then after that would be where you're the owner of one of those salons. So we can get into the different types there are, and when you're coming out of school, what would be best for you. So the first one mentioned was the employee based. This is where you're an actual employee of the company. You fill out a W-2 form. They may or may not have benefits for you. You're working for a certain wage, and you may get tips. You may get a percentage off a product sold. This, to me, is probably the best one when you're first coming out of school to go into, because at this point you have no clientele. You're learning the ropes. If you are able to find somebody in the salon that will kind of like take you under their wing, that would probably be the best thing for you. Really, the best thing for you is actually be an apprentice to somebody or like an assistant. I like this for people coming straight out of school because it helps you learn the ropes of the business. It helps you learn how to schedule. It teaches you how a salon actually works with actual people coming in as just customers. I know you get customers at the beauty school or barber school, but it's different when you're actually out here, and they're a little more forgiving at the school. Whereas when you're out in the world, it's a totally different situation. But you're able to learn more and learn from all the different stylists that have been there for years or been in the business for years. So what do you think about that situation of just coming out of school? I mean, I know you've had your license now for a couple of years, but looking back, what do you think about that situation?
For me, I would say you need to be in a shop surrounded by people, I would say veteran stylists or barbers. And you need to be around people that's going to be willing to invest in you, in your growth. Because for me, becoming a barber, I was also in our shop cutting hair for free. But I had other stylists. I was horrible with the shears. And seeing the ladies use shears regularly, I was able to watch and observe. I was able to ask questions. I was able to start cutting hair, and then in the middle of me cutting, just ask them, hey, can you help me figure out how to cut this? And of course, my clients were okay with it, but they were also okay with it.
When you offer to cut somebody's hair for free, a lot of times they're going to be a little more willing and forgiving when you're cutting hair. If I'm paying you a good amount of money, I don't want to get somebody else on my head because you don't know what you're doing.
Right. I mean, and that's the most important thing as a student is you need heads to learn. And so you have to be okay. Like, you can't be thinking about the money, because the money isn't what's important right now. You learning how to cut hair is the most important thing.
And even though you were in school and you should have learned a good amount, I know this day and age, schools are not teaching very much. They're just teaching you how to pass the test. So it is true that you really want to get out there and get yourself surrounded by people that really know what they're doing, because they will take their time, and they're in the real world now. It's not about like, oh, you need to roll something this way or hold your shear this way. Like they have grown and have learned new techniques that can help you maybe move faster.
So for me, my opinion would be definitely go into it was open space, right?
Open concept, or a salon as an employee. Or if you're not ready to be an employee, see if you can be an assistant, which is still an employee, but you're not working on heads solely by yourself just yet.
Because to be honest, I mean, there's very few students, barbers or cosmetologists come out of cosmetology school or barber school and have a big enough clientele to really suffice what they're wanting to really do ultimately in the end game, which is probably, being a booth rental or, have your suite. But you got to have clientele for that, and you got to have confidence in your craft to be able to do that. And so it's all about taking baby steps. I know the industry, and a lot of people follow Instagram people, and you see them in these nice suites and all that stuff, but at the end of the day, they probably been cutting for a long time, and they probably invested in their craft. A lot of times, you don't see that they've been taking classes, or they have someone that's really good with shear work, but they talk to them regularly, or they have mannequins that they practice on. You don't see all the work that they're doing behind the scenes. Mm-hmm. You're just seeing what they post on the internet and the finished products. I started learning how to cut really well watching people on Facebook, like started following in Instagram, following people that some people would send me, or I would just pop up because now I have a barber page, and nothing but barbering comes across my page. And so you get to see a lot of different ways of doing things, but you also need the clientele to be able to learn. Really don't be focused so much on the money, because if you just focus on the money, then you're not focusing on the craft, which makes the money. So you're kind of doing it backwards.
Okay, some game right there.
Yeah, that's okay. That wine.
Yeah. So, and that really only goes for people that are fresh out of school. Some people have been cutting hair for years or doing hair for years, and they just really went back to get their license so that they can be legit. This is not for you. You probably already have a clientele, and you're just here to get your license. So,
but you still check in, because we can give you some advice on how to manage your coins.
Definitely that. Good job.
Yeah.
So then the next type of salon that you can be in would be commission based. Now, sometimes this is good once you like comfortable enough to step out on your own. Commission based can be good because it allows you to step out, but not necessarily have to take on every single thing yourself. So usually in commission based, and there's different types, so it's not just one, but usually it's something like, an example would be, you get a percentage of each cut or each style that's done. You may have to be there all the time because you only make money when you're there, right? Usually the more you make, the more you're responsible for. The less you make, the less you're responsible for. And when I say that, I mean, okay, if I say you're going to get 70%, but I'm going to get 30% of the money and I'm the owner, I may not buy your product for you. You may have to come up with your own product. I may supply the clientele for you, and I may say, this is the hours that we're going to set up in the contract. You're going to come here these days from this time to this time. I get 30%. You have to buy your own product, but you don't have to worry about a booth rent because 30% counts as your booth rent. But that's why I need you to be there so that we can make sure that both of us are making money. If it's 50-50, sometimes people will buy your product for you. They will get cards made for you, but at the same time, they're expecting more of you. They are expecting you to be there at a certain time, be there all day. They're going to be the ones that be like, hey, here's a relaxer. Here's this type of cut. Here's this, because they need you to make money so they can make money. So again, usually the more that you're making off of that commission, the less that the owner is doing for you.
And then you also need to keep in mind, in order for any of these to work, you have to have some type of work ethic, because none of it's going to work if you have no work ethic. If you can't go work for someone because you want to, the barber industry and the cosmetology industry is all about, you got a free schedule, you get to make your own schedule. If you're thinking that's what it's all about, then it's going to be hard for you to want to work for someone. But if you don't have any work ethic and you don't manage your money well, it might be best that you do go start out working with someone, and then they teach you that different things. But it all starts with your ability to keep a job, maintain a job, and then thrive on that job. And in order to do that, you have to have work ethic, and that starts young. I mean, I think from what our kids started working when they were like, 14, 15? I mean, it just starts at a young age, but
probably before that, because I'm in the shop.
But that's what we notice a lot of times when you just go to different barbershops, salons. You will see some people that they handle themselves well, they speak well, they present well. But then you have others that they act the same way they do at home, they act at work. And that's none of these ways, none of these different avenues that you can go into will you be successful if you have that mentality where, I'm free, I'm my own boss, but I don't have to follow no rules.
And everybody has a boss. Even when you work for yourself, your customer is your boss.
Yeah.
Because you need to show up on time for them. If you say your appointment is this, you have to follow through with that. They're expecting those things. So there's expectations from somebody at all times. Yeah. I don't care if you work for yourself or you work for someone else. There is somebody that's always expecting something from you. And if you want to be successful in this business, you have to treat it like a business. And especially in our community, unfortunately, we don't treat it like a business. We treat this like a side hustle. And then we're surprised that it's not really making money, or we're surprised that, like, I have to go do something else because this isn't enough for me. Well, because you never treated it like your business at all.
And I also feel like that too, and I feel like I noticed this a lot in the barber industry. You rarely hear a barber say they solely focus, their one job is barbering. A lot of times barbers, a lot of them have 2 and 3 jobs. And to me, that doesn't make sense, because if you can just invest all that effort that you're doing on these other 2 or 3 jobs into that one job, because barbering and cosmetology has no ceiling. You are your ceiling. And that's the cool thing about it. You can't get mad and be like, oh, I'm not making any money, but you're not doing anything. Like, you've already put a cap on your ceiling before you even done anything.
And if you're working somewhere else and this happens to be your side hustle, that's a different story. But if you're doing this and now you have to go find something because this isn't making enough money, you need to reevaluate how you're treating this business. Because a lot of times you're not treating it like a business. You're treating it like a side hustle. And that's why you see side hustle money.
And I'm speaking for someone from experience. And I was in, just a year ago, I was working for someone, and I graduated college, have a bachelor's degree, and been in corporate America all this time. And I took a leap of faith with the support of my wife and started working just solely in our shop, focusing on our business and trying to develop more businesses. And I've told her this at the beginning of the year, that barbering has been more successful and more fulfilling just than I've ever been on any job. And I've been working since I was 14 years old, and I'm 42. Not ashamed to say that. I know I look 21, but that was a joke. But no, for real, has it been tough? Yes. But has it been manageable? Of course. And it's all about how you do things. And luckily, my wife is really great with managing money. I am too, but she does really exceptional on being able to just manage different accounts, move money certain ways.
Which we'll show you about later. It's a system that I have in an ebook that you can get to help you manage your money because of the type of business we're in, and it fluctuates so much. So the next one would be booth rental. This is where everything is really on you. You work in an open concept salon, but you are just renting the booth. So at this point, you're not paying for any utilities or anything like that. You just pay for a booth, either weekly, monthly, daily, I don't know, whichever the pay schedule is for you. This is where you are your own boss. You have to buy all your own product, all your own tools, all of them, you kind of need to buy your own tools. But all your product, all your tools, all your advertisement, everything is on you. And whether you're in that salon that week or not, you owe that money.
And you definitely got to have the clientele.
Oh, yeah. Booth rental, you cannot play. Because, like I said, at the end of the week, regardless to if you made any money that week, if you were there that week, if you were sick that week, booth rent is due. Nobody cares what you had going on. Nobody cares that everybody canceled. Nobody cares that you only have 3 clients. Booth rent is due. And so this is why this structure isn't really best for people just coming out of school, because you don't have the clientele to keep up with that. You have to be so ahead of the game that 1 week won't really hurt you. I mean, like 1 week worth of booth rent shouldn't hurt you if you have to pay it out and you weren't there or whatnot. But if you don't have the clientele, that's not going to work for you at all. The only time this is good for you coming straight out of school is, like I said, if you've been doing hair for years or you've been barbering for years and you finally like, let me go get my license. Let me quit playing. Let me get out the kitchen. Let me get out the garage. I do like this though because you're more in control of your schedule is your schedule. Usually they won't tell you like, oh, we like you to be here from this time to this time. If anything, they just say, hey, we like the shop closed at this time. And we don't like to open up before this time. But other than that, everything is on you. This is one of my favorites because I'm in control of everything. I'm in control of how I schedule. If I want to be off every other week, if I want to only work 3 days, it's my schedule and I can do whatever I want to do. How do you like booth rental?
Luckily, I don't pay it. But I mean, booth rental is definitely one of those ones that you have to be on your game to do. Once again, you can't lack work ethic when it comes to booth rental because at the end of the day, it's just like your apartment or your mortgage. The mortgage company or the apartment complex does not care if you were sick for 3 weeks and you wasn't able to work. Come the first of the month, by that fourth day, they want their money. Same thing with booth rental. Same thing. So you got to have that same mentality when it comes to a booth rental. The cool thing, like she said about booth rental, though, is it offers you more flexibility because you are your business. You don't work for anyone. You're working in a building or a space that someone else is owning and running. You just pay them every week to have your booth and your supplies there. Some places even give you a key, give you, a pass to the alarm, whatever. You can kind of come and go. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, you have to have the clientele and you have to have the work ethic.
I know a lot of people get in this business that like, I have all this freedom. I don't have to come into work. I come in when I want to. Yeah, but again, time is money. And if you're not spending the time in the shop, you're not making money. So I know some stylists that are like, oh, I want to do 1 or 2 heads. Unless you just one of these great stylists out here that somebody's paying like $500, $600, $700, $800 for one hairstyle, you're gonna have to come in. And a lot of people don't want to. They want to just be able to say, oh, I'm gonna enjoy the day off. I'm gonna call my clients out. Okay, well, if you making $500, $600, $700, $800 in a day, and you take today off just because the sun's out, that's $800 gone.
8-hour shifts don't do it in the.
No.
I mean, that's just.
I mean, it can.
It can. It really could.
But you have to structure yourself that way. But you, 8-hour shift, 8 or less hours in the shop, you have to be so on top of your game. Know your pricing, know how to schedule, know how to get people, manage your time, get people in and out, and have great customer service. Now, if you can get those 4 down to the point where you can be in the shop only a couple of hours a day without charging somebody $500, $600 for a style,
you cracked the code.
You done cracked it.
And share it.
Please. And thank you. I mean, I'm almost there.
Yeah, you definitely there.
But it took years of figuring it out. So the next structure would be a suite. This is my favorite. But I also have been a hairstylist for the last 24 years. So, like I said, I've been in all structures, but this happens to be my favorite because of the fact that I can spend time alone with my clients. You can make the vibe your own. I mean, I remember being in my room and it'd just be me and my client, and they were excited. Like each week they were like, what's the movie of the week? What we on now? Or we would have shows and I wouldn't watch certain shows until certain people came in so we could watch the show together. And so I did love that structure. And again, it's almost exactly like the booth rental. You're just renting a suite. And so you have a little more freedom with like the decorating and all of that. It usually costs a little more though too than the open concept booth rental. You may end up paying $200, $300, $400, $500, $600 a week for your room, depending on the size, depending on location. And so you do have to be careful of that. I don't think, again, it's a good structure for somebody coming straight out, not only because of the fact that, you're going to have the booth rental fee, but you really need people around you to help you grow into a stylist or barber that you want to be. There are so many lessons somebody else can teach you. And even now, being in the game for so long, we have an open concept salon, and me and the ladies bounce stuff off of each other all the time. And we have a diverse salon. We have two Hispanic ladies. We used to have two barbers, but now we only have Brian. And then we have a braider, and then it's me and another black hairstylist. And there's just a lot of cool vibes going on in there. Like, I can ask the ladies something about color or biolage or something. They can ask me about relaxers. They asked Brian about fading and like having the hard, lineups. But a different group of people, you can learn so much more than when you're in the suite. I found that if I didn't make sure that I went into classes, you kind of stunt yourself because you get caught in the monotonous of the same thing over and over again. Because if you have a clientele like I do, I have people that come weekly, I have people that come every 2 weeks, I have people that come every 3 weeks. I'm seeing the same people in rotation all the time. A lot of people don't like different things. I have a few people that would like stuff different, but a lot of my women are like professional women or teachers, principals, doctors. They're not doing crazy stuff all the time. And so I would get those every once in a while, my younger clients. But for the most part, I was doing the same thing all over and over. And so you kind of lose track of what's happening, what's different. You have to put in a lot of effort to make sure that you're seeing what's going on in the outside world. And so you haven't been in a suite yet. You and your clients might not need to be in no suite though. No reason. But yeah. So, and then the very last structure would be owning a salon, as we do. That's why he doesn't pay booth rent, because he's the owner and I'm the owner. So no, we don't pay booth rent, but we pay whatever doesn't get caught by all the other booth renters. And the thing I love about it is we have a great team, but it's scary out there. We had to go through some people to find our team and the people that we love. And even now we have a booth available, but we are taking our time about filling, because if somebody come in and mess up the vibe, they can also mess up other people's money. And if they mess up other people's money, now that messes up your money, because now you got to find not just one booth renter, but 2 or 3. And so you have to be careful who you put in your shop. You also need to make sure people's work is quality work, because it's your shop's name. They don't leave the shop and say, hey, Brian didn't do a good job on my hair. They say, oh, there's this barber at Ziani. They can't cut up there. And all of a sudden it's they. It's him. Not him, really. He can cut. But it's one person, but they can't cut up there. Or they messed up my hair. And they're not going to say who the person is. And so that can put a bad taste in people's mouth. Not that you can't mess up, but you have to watch out for people not being quality. And so this structure is definitely for the seasoned people that's been out there for a while. And to be honest, even though I know there's people out there that open up salons that don't even do hair, that can be tough too, because you don't understand the business. And so here it is, you're trying to tell people what they should be doing or not doing, and you don't even understand the business. If I'm a booth renter, no, you can't do half off on Wednesdays, because unless you plan on giving me half off on my booth rent, what we doing? Yeah, no, I'm not doing half off Wednesdays. So those are things that you need to think about before opening a salon. The type of people you're going to have in there. And even that, we can talk about that in another video about opening a salon and all the things that go into it, because we really thought like, oh, we're going to open a salon and people are just going to come and But it has been one of the best things we've ever done. I don't mean to scare you off, but I'm just letting you know it's not all pansies and roses and rainbows. That shit was hard, but it was well worth it.
Very much so. I never dreamed of owning a business. Never even thought of owning a business. And then the pandemic comes, and my wife's out of work for a little bit, and then opportunity happens in summer of 2021, and we're owning a salon. So like I said, never short. And I talked about it when I was on a tangent, but never shortchange yourself because you never know what door is going to open for you. And never put a cap on yourself. And never allow someone else to put a cap on you. Because when you do that, you've already put yourself in a box that you won't get higher than what you can see. And I've always been one of those people until I started getting a little older and having some success in my life. I thought cutting hair was going to be extremely hard. But just like anything in life, if you repeat it on a regular basis and you want to get better, you're going to get better. So I should have never went into it thinking that, oh, this is so hard. I can't see it. Because once you keep doing it, you start seeing like, oh, that's what they mean by that harsh line. You start seeing that's what they mean, flick out at that line. Those things become easy to you, and it just takes repetition. So don't shortchange yourself, and don't let nobody ever shortchange.
So, for more content, or if you like what you've seen, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Right?
Yeah, hit that mark.
And we'll see you soon. All right.